Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to... Wait for it. It's Armament Turf Wars. I'm really bad at singing this song because it's really generic. Oh my god, I have lost my fucking mind, haven't I? It's not only an Army Man game, it's a fucking mobile Army Man game. And I don't mean mobile as in that garbagey, oh, I paid $555 at Microtrade. No. This was what mobile gaming was circa 2002. So I am running this on mGBA, which I love. It's a really good emulator. Seth, don't forget to show you own the game, by the way. Yeah, I've actually had Turf Wars since it came out. I've also ripped this ROM directly myself. I think I can show a picture of that off. I don't remember if you can still even find this on, Amazon, but yeah, I actually bought this R4 cart that I used on my DSi, or DSL, and I ripped all the Game Boy carts I have into mGBA. Took a little bit, but it wasn't very hard. I did this ages ago, but speaking of ages ago, this is post-commentary. I recorded this when I was sick in, November, when I got sick for, the entire month. And I've had it just laying on my hard drive waiting to actually have time to do this. And I figured, why not? Because I just got sick as well. Today's actually the 7th of December. So you guys get this today on the 8th. Aren't you happy? Oh my god. So, yeah, before we get into the game, I have been sick. You can probably hear it in my voice. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just a stress cold. Mainly just a cough and basically strep throat. It was all from work stress. I've been really busy the last few weeks. I hate to sound like I always say that, but it's always true. I hate to say it, but I do have a job. I work full time. This is my part-time hobby thing. And if it makes you feel any better, I don't put ads on videos, and I also refuse to put ads on videos, so you're not really having to pay anything. If you do pay on Patreon, by the way, I haven't mentioned this because I haven't mentioned this, but I hit 501 subs as of yesterday, I think. Thank you so much, by the way. I can't explain it enough. But if you are new, if you want, you can donate on my Patreon. All the money there goes to feeding and spaying and neutering stray cats in the area. And my cat, Frampt, has diabetes, by the way. So, are you ready for this, by the way? I haven't mentioned this, but I only die 2 times in this entire playthrough. I haven't looked at this since I recorded it, but I only die twice. It's not a very complicated game. So let's stop talking about me and start talking about the game. So, I've had this game since it came out. There's actually 3 mobile... I just say mobile because that's the term that we all used back in the day. Handheld, I guess, is also the other one. So there was actually 3 GBA titles. I don't know about the original Game Boy, but I did grow up with a GBA. There was Army Men Advance, and then there was Operation Green, and then Turf Wars. Now, I'm by the way a connoisseur of class, and I know everything about these games because I hate myself. Yeah, this is one of 2 deaths in the whole game. Does this look fun? Because it's not. But I just wanted to keep that death in there because I was like, dude, that is one of the most awkward things to do in this game is grab shit like this. But I'm a connoisseur of the Army Man games, if you don't know already. I have playthroughs of World War 3D. I've got playthrough of everything but Land, Sea, Air on the PS1 era, actually, if I remember correctly. I've been wanting to get into recording more games lately, but obviously being sick doesn't help. Also, those of you who are like, Seth, you disappeared. You didn't put a lot of stuff out. Well, being work busy, and I hate to sound like that guy, but dude, also Leagues came out in RuneScape, okay? I got all the way to Myth tier and said, I'm done. I got my 20k points, I'm done. I got my Virtus reskin and enough to sell another Virtus reskin after everything was over. So that kind of took a little bit of priority since Leagues only comes once a year in RuneScape. I really didn't want to do it, but obviously my Diablo 2 playthrough, the character, I think it was the day after I finished the character, I actually started Leagues immediately and just ground at it. So if you guys are like, how come said this appeared for such a weird length of time? Work busy, Leagues busy, and obviously being sick does not help. So this game does have stats, by the way. I haven't even probably talked about the game because it's actually quite uninteresting. But, so the game does actually control fairly well. Now, obviously I'm using a ZDI controller. I think I recorded this with my PS2 controller. I'm not really sure. But, it controls just fine on the original hardware. So I haven't even probably mentioned how you control this yet. So you move around with the D-pad. And surprisingly, it doesn't feel that awkward. You can strafe, and when you start shooting an enemy, it's a lot like the Sarge's Heroes games. Sarge will auto-lock on top of the enemies and just sort of strafe around them. So it's really not that bad. I think it's the A button fires and B button jumps, and the right shoulder, I believe. Because I haven't played this in like 2 months, but the shoulder buttons just cycle your weapons. Grenades, I'll talk about it later, but this game is actually really fucking good. And I mean, yeah, it came out on the GBA, and you're probably looking at this and going, oh, it's another isometric GBA game. Yawn! It's actually pretty damn good. And I don't mean, like, just by metrics of Army Man games, because like I said, I'm a connoisseur of crap, okay? I have played every fucking Army Man game, like, to this day. I think the only Army Man game I've never played was Sarge's War. And that's because it came out way later into the PS2 life cycle, and I was like, I'm a fucking grown-up. I'm gonna play Grand Theft Auto with the volume off so my parents don't know it and trade in my Army Man games for that copy of the game, and then they're never gonna know, and I'm gonna 100% it, and then my dad's gonna say, what are you playing? And then I'm gonna realize that I actually have played it, and he's gonna say, you can't play that. It's a true story, by the way. I actually did do that. But I was a Game Boy kid, right? To be fair, there wasn't very many handheld consoles out there. But when I was a kid, I got this at Toys R Us. Obviously, I'm still using the same cartridge I got when I was a kid. And I loved it because I was like, oh, it follows the Sarge's Heroes storyline, which... I've mentioned this before. I absolutely adore the Sarge's Heroes story. It's fucking... It would have been awesome if it was just a cartoon. I do plan on playing through that later on this year. It's on my list of games to play as Sarge's Heroes 2, specifically 2. But, like... So, when I saw that this was actually, like, oh, Sarge is the main character, I actually got really giddy. And, you know, this is so weird, but when I was a kid, I was fascinated by Metal Slug. I fucking loved the Metal Slug series. I played probably like 6 of them, and I loved every single one of them. And I played every chance I could when I saw like Metal Slug 2. There was a arcade where I used to live. They had a copy of it. And then there was a pizza place we used to go to when I was a kid. They had one of the Neo Geo plug-in cabinets, you know what I'm talking about? It had like Bubble Bobble, all that on it. By the way, the flamethrower is the most overpowered weapon in the game. You notice I never used it in any of the other games. I'll talk about that later too. But when I played this, I was always like, man, I wish there was like a Metal Slug game on GBA, which there was, but I never found it when I was a kid. And so, essentially, this game was like the closest thing I had to like Metal Slug. And it's not a very long game, you can see by the video length. It's only about an hour if you know what you're doing. But that didn't fucking matter, dude. You gotta remember, the Game Boy for the time, and when I say Game Boy, I mean Advance. The battery life was pretty good, but this wasn't meant to be a fucking epic, grand-scale game. It was just a standard, you know, action shooty man game. And it translates quite well to the Sarge's Heroes formula. I mean, this is something I also really like about this game, is you probably have noticed it by now. it takes place in the real world, where objects are larger. You know, these are more realistic house proportions, because it's outside, hence why it's called Turf Wars. And we'll get into that later as the game keeps going, which I really love. In terms of why I like this game, it controls really well. And I know that it doesn't seem like it, but it really does. It's got an actually interesting-ish story, because you can see here we have a blue spy who's saying bullshit, you know. There's actually, like, objectives we're trying to go to. It feels like there's a progression in this game rather than just random shit thrown together. Now, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. Is this game bullshit hard? I don't really think so. If you have a basic grasp of the controls, this game is absolutely not that bad. But one thing I really love about it is the explosives. Alright, now this is something that I can't quite explain. It's something that, you know, when you play a game, you can only describe the feeling of it and what it means to you personally. This is one of those instances where I love how the grenades feel in this game, and it's so hard to explain, but like, the grenades in this game have a very specific, powerful arc that just feels correct. I don't know how else to put it. They just feel like they should. And that's something that I can't really explain, but if this game has one awesome thing about it, it's the goddamn grenade physics. Like, you can really do shit that, like, they make sense. If you can arc a throw over something, it'll go over something. If it hits next to something, it'll hit next to something. And the grenades in this game actually deal fucking damage. But yeah, in case you haven't noticed by now, all of our favorite Army Man friends are in this game. You got Bazooka Billy, Grenade Guy Gary, you got fucking Rifleman Randy, you got everybody. And you get extra bonus guys like this asshole right here who does a shitload of damage. No flamethrower Freds, sorry. Actually, mercifully, no flamethrower Freds, because holy shit. The flamethrower is probably the most overpowered weapon in the game. All it takes is one puff, and it can kill enemies. See, look at this! You can't fucking do that in other Army Man games. You just can't do it. The splash damage isn't good enough. The fucking nothing in this game is like anything else in the series. The bazooka is bullshit. It doesn't really matter. It's better than what it is in Army Men 3D and those other games. Like, the Sergeant's Heroes bazooka, it's actually kind of good. It's a little slow, but it makes sense. It's a really mainly just for, like, vehicles. But, like, you see what I mean? Like, the grenade physics, and we'll get into it more as the game keeps going. There is certainly a charm to how this game works. And, I mean, look, this is not an impressive game. I'm not stupid, okay? This is probably, I have to say, a pretty weak Game Boy game, because it's just an hour long and it's not very fulfilled. There's literally no other stuff in this game. There's no gallery, there's no speedrunning trials, there's no nothing. It's just you beat the game and it's over. I never played the multiplayer, but there's Jeep Soccer apparently. And you know, this is the other thing too. This game's controls in the vehicles actually don't feel bad. This is so hard to explain, but, like, there's one thing everyone bitches about the Army Men trilogies, or whatever you want to call them. The controls are a little wonky, right? They're not exactly perfect because they're just... See, look at that! I knew exactly where the grenade was going to go and it killed 2 dudes in the process. The grenades in this game are fucking awesome. But look at this. I want you to look at the detail on this tank sprite, and you'll see exactly what I mean, okay? So, the controls may seem weird, but they're actually really fluid. Like, they control similarly to how the PS1 games controlled, in that it's more of like, you just kind of track back and forth. But it honestly doesn't feel that awkward, and the Jeep is snappy and responsive, and it feels like it really has some oversteer. I can't explain it other than, like, allegedly Battle Tanks by 3DO was not that bad of a game. I don't know, because I've never played it. I've never been really into vehicle-based games.
you guys are probably like, oh, but if you grew up with the PlayStation, what about Twisted Metal? And I'm like, you know, I don't really know how I feel about Twisted Metal. I've played like the first 4, and I played Black with a few friends. I don't own Black, by the way, but I have played it. And I played the grim, dark, edgy reboot, like on the PS3 with a friend as well. And I was like, I don't really care about the story and shit. The gameplay is just, I don't know. I've never been like a vehicle-based person. Like, you could argue that that's a me problem and I'm missing out, but I don't know. But like, this game for a Game Boy game, it has secret areas like you can see right here. The game is fairly generous in making sure you don't get completely fucked over if you're actually paying attention to everything. Because like, ultimately this game is not as insanely difficult. It does get really hard towards the end, but that's not really because the game is unbalanced. It's trying to basically whittle you down. I will say this wasn't my favorite Game Boy game, but I would play it every now and again. Because like I said, it's only like an hour long. If you're on like a 45+ minute drive, you can just stop one level. Because there's no passwords, the game just auto-saves. You can just not password, but you could, you know, just play the next level and keep going, and you'd have like a 45-minute trip in one direction, 45 minutes in the back. You'd have probably finish the game by then. Just play it faster and faster each time you finish it. Now there's one thing about this game that I really kind of love, but I know it breaks it. So if you're playing like I did sequentially, each level by level, what that does is it actually transfers over your inventory. Like you'll notice when we finish this level, we're going to have all the same stuff in this level that we do in the next one. So there really is like kind of a balance issue. You're not really supposed to do that. But it doesn't really matter. In my opinion, it makes sense because you're going from one end of the battlefield to the other. It kind of checks out. I'm going to take in some coffee before my throat dies. But also when I was a kid, you can see that left green one. I thought, what does that mean? I don't really know what that means. I think it means, like, pickups. But when I was a kid, I thought it was them trying to suppress flipping the camera off. That was a really weird one. Obviously, there's accuracy, amount of enemies killed in the level. Accuracy is kind of pointless, because this game has kind of random damage spread. But, you know, it's like... So, when I was a kid, I didn't really have access to the internet to see, oh, what can you unlock in this game? So I was, like, dead set that if you did a certain amount of, like, things, you'd get, like, an extra level or something like that. But, nah, doesn't happen. But, which is kind of depressing, because as far as, like, other games of this type go, I had a lot of GBA games. I don't know if I've ever shown off the stack of them I have, but whenever I get one, it was a fucking treat. Because, to be fair, I played a lot more Game Boy than I did my PlayStation. Because I was really into Metroid. And yeah, if you haven't noticed by now, I think the first video this year I posted was of my my Metroid Zero Mission speedrun. Because, I don't know, GBA games just really feel good. Now, there's a lot of shovelware garbage, and oh boy, I'll get to it eventually. But, yeah, I would just love this. If this game came out on console, I don't know. I'd probably feel a little bit ripped off if this was a console game. There's a lot of issues with this game, though. Number one, the camera. It is an isometric game. You just had to make do with these sorts of things back in the day. Like, I have Spyro the Dragon Year of Ice. Season of Ice. Now, that game itself is not that bad. It actually faithfully looks, sounds, and almost plays exactly like the console. Except the camera. The camera is hot trash in that game, and I never can get used to it. I've never finished that game because the fucking camera. In this game specifically, you can't see what's ahead of you. That's kind of a huge pain in the ass. Also, if you're not on top of your ammo, like for your extra weapons, it's really fucking nasty. At this point in the game, by the way, is where they try to whittle you down because there's so many fucking enemies. You really have to get used to rolling. Going prone doesn't do shit against mitigating damage. I just fucked up there, by the way. But, like, you can see what I mean. Bazooka Billy can just auto-target on top of you and you just take damage. Like, you just take dumb damage. There's no sniper rifle in this game. Obviously, they couldn't fucking add in, like, another thing, but you can start to see what the game's trying to make you do. It's trying to make you use, like, your explosives to get arcs on enemies, because they start just getting thrown in clumps, which, like, look at that. There's, like, fucking no way to dodge out of that damage. It's really cheap. They even give you fucking health after that, because they know it's that cheap. But one thing I can praise, and even though it's just, you can say, oh, well, whatever, I get the impression of what this game looks like from a realistic standpoint. Like, I can tell we're in someone's yard, and you can, we'll see more of that as we keep going. Something I've always loved about the Army Man series, all of it as a whole, is this is shit that you do as a kid. Like, you just take your Army Man dudes outside into the garden here, and I love how these little, like, I don't know what they're really technically, I guess it's bridge. They're made out of fucking popsicle sticks. I love that, and it's going into a garden planter. There's a lot of little things in this game's art that I actually really appreciate. Like, you can see probably right there too, the paratroopers, if you shoot them before they hit the ground, they actually die. And like, they have a specific animation for when they've been killed like that. That's something that I think really is charming about this game. And, oh boy, here comes the Jeep. So look at that, like, you can tell just from the sound design and like the movement of it, this isn't actually that bad. Like, the Jeep is floaty and fast and it turns like weird. It's it's actually quite cool how faithfully they were able to put like just that little like oversteer in it gives it personality. And I'm not saying this game's a fucking masterpiece, by the way. It ain't no fucking Zero Mission, but it's impressive what they were able to accomplish with the GBA. I'm not really sure how they actually made the sprites for these. I think these were like 3D models turned into voxels. I'm almost 99% certain that's how they designed it. For things like the Jeeps and stuff. Because if you look at like the animations in this game, they're really smooth, and I think that's something that I've always really loved about this game, even as a kid, is it looks and plays really smooth. Even on the hardware, it never slows down. We're obviously running this on like, you know, an emulator, but it never feels like unfair, like, oh, the game chugged so hard and I couldn't put my inputs in. Like, and see, look, things like this, like, the artillery goes down, because it's not hitting the main dudes, it's trying to hit you instead so you can go across the wall. Like, there's little hints of, like, I don't know why I didn't keep sticking to the wall. I recorded this when I was sick, like, a month ago. But, like, you can see what I mean. There's a lot of detail, like, look at the animations of Sarge climbing and stuff. And that's what I mean. There's something about this game that is just so charming. I don't think you should honestly go out of your way to try and find it unless you're an absolute insane person like me. But I've had this since it came out, and I almost fucking rolled off right there, and I was about to scream. That was just not fun. But it's definitely... I can't explain it. It's just a very solid game. What do I absolutely hate about this game, by the way? It's extremely, like, obvious, but the game doesn't really change. The way this game tries to make change is by implementing platforming. This is not a game that is made for platforming. Not even close. This game does not even qualify, alright? This shit is like, we have platforming at home, okay? It's not good. And it does tend to default to this kind of wave attack mode, but, like, the problem is the flamethrower is so fucking overpowered that, like, you absolutely can't, like, not use it. It's just too good. And that's kind of what breaks this game is the weapon balance, but also the same, this is why I say this game's so fucking weird to me. Also, I love this. This part, you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. Alright, so when I was a kid, this scene, not what I'm doing, but you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. And I think I even stopped the game, like, just to show it off. I was, like, we all know, I was the most sheltered child ever, right? So watch what happens when we blow up the last boat. Come on, Seth, blow it up, you fucking idiot. That damn battleship! Oh my god. They had a fucking curse word in a GBA game. You have no idea how much that, like, freaked me out as a kid. Also, this is probably the hardest thing in the fucking game. I almost die here. So, my advice for this, shoot the turrets, like what I'm doing. Look at this. Fucking 5% health. This shit was the end of my life as a kid. This would be like, okay, I've gotten this far. I fucking... That damn battleship, you know? You don't even have to shoot the other turrets, but that's how you kill it. That's right, we sunk the damn battleship. Uh-oh. Ellipses? What's going on? Our disposable scout that is made out of plastic, he's been captured. Shit! It was that damn battleship. Anyway, I know it's not a big deal nowadays that games use curse words, and especially the Army Man series. Okay, this is where it gets weird. So I was so fucking afraid of swearing as a kid, and in my mind, games just couldn't do it. That was just like, oh, that's like, they can only do that in Metal Gear, right? That's the only game that they're allowed to swear in, okay? Because I don't know, that was just my mentality, I guess. It was so bizarre. Oh, by the way, this is the most useful help of all time. It's one of the 2 times in the game you actually get, like, reinforcements. But I love this. It's a fucking, like, cardboard box with windows drawn on. I love this. This is actually, like, what I'm talking about. This is really cute design. This is something I do as a kid. That's why this is so fucking fun. Oh, I love it. But anyways... I remember in Air Attack 2, there's a part where one of the green soldiers, his face appears on screen, he goes, "Let's get those 10 bastards!" And I was like, you can't say that in the game. It didn't say there was swearing on the box. You can't do that. That's against the ESRB. This game breaks the law. Like, I fucking swear, it scared me so bad as a kid that they swore in a children's game. I mean, T for teen, but you know, who cares about the rating system? Just give your kid whatever... Play some Tenchu, you're 6 years old. But I remember it because after that I was so fixated on... And there's also another part where I think in Air Attack 2... I can't remember the name of the main character you play in that game. And by the way, this jump is as fucking awful as it looks. I'm pretty sure this is the other spot I die in. But he's like, damn, she got captured. And I was like... And then it just, like, scared me ever since that. I was like, oh, man, this game is so vulgar. I can't let my parents hear me play in this game as I melt somebody with a fucking flamethrower and literally shoot someone in the side of the head with a fucking, like, sniper rifle. I better not let my parents see me playing a game where they say bastard in it. But, you know, I don't think I make this jump. I'm pretty sure I do not make this jump. And if I do, holy fuck. This is as awful as it looks. Look at that jump arc. Okay, I do... Oh, now I remember. I don't make the jump in this level, but I don't... Not here. This is about as unpleasant as it looks. Because, goddamn. Your drop shadow is very good at determining where you're going to land. But it's when you jump. This game doesn't have that good of physics for that. There was platforming in Sarge's Heroes 1 and 2. And it was just about as gross there as it is in here. But, I don't know. It ain't my cup of tea, it's all I can tell you. If you couldn't tell, by the way, with this cough, I couldn't even speak like 2 days ago because my voice was so racked. So if you guys are like, oh, Seth's just pulling our legs, he isn't really sick. Yeah, this 2 days ago, I couldn't even speak words. I had to communicate entirely with hand gestures and, like, nodding at work for, like, the whole week. I had a mask on, too. So, be happy. I have taken 0 cold medicine either, because it's just a stress cold. It's not a fucking, like, viral infection. And I guess if you're still here and you're interested in what I'm doing lately, I will be grinding back at the TCM review. I apologize in advance, and you can say, Seth, how could you, you monster? But I also have to really preface, man, Leagues only comes out once a year in RuneScape, and I had to get it done. It isn't FOMO, I just wanted to do it. I have never, like, played Leagues that hard, and I wanted to get it done. By the end of it, I was really burnt out, by the way. I was grinding Araxer and bored. I was grinding Araxer and Rock Shell and Zombie Axe, okay? And no anti-venom, alright? I was fucking grinding Sire and Araxer, just going absolutely batshit by the end of it, okay? I was so done. I think I ended at like 125 combat because I could not be asked to get my prayer all the way to 99. I did everything but prayer. So, yeah, I think I die here because this is extremely awkward. And you can see exactly where I'm going to fuck up too because I can't... It's a huge problem of isometric games is it's very strict where you can and cannot be because you may be moving forward, but you're actually going diagonal, and that's a huge problem. But, that was a fucking save. I almost forgot about that. I think I was sweating it when that happened. But, no, everything should be back to normal here soon. Look, I get sick really easy. I don't think it's any surprise if you've been a long-time channel viewer. I get sick, like, with the basic shit that people get, and I get sick for, like, a month. Alright, I've got this little cough left over, but that's because I'm talking. I think I obviously line it up correctly here, but... Yeah, it's like... Seth, weren't you sick for almost all of November? Yeah. And you know why I got sick for all of November? Is because I can't take time off, because I used up my entire PTO for the year. Well, actually, I think I had, like, 12... extra hours of PTO, not including sick leave. Because I used up 2 weeks of PTO for my vacation back in September. And then, yeah. So, I'm not going to call out if I absolutely don't need to either. But whenever I get sick, it lasts for like weeks because I just don't know how to give myself a break. But yeah, I should be grinding away at the TCM review, no biggie. In terms of games coming up, if you're curious, I really want to get GBA stuff. There's actually a very special game on the GBA that I do want to do as a long-form game. I'm not going to say what it is because it's actually really obscure. And I don't mean that like, oh, is it from like another country? No, it was obscure because it actually eclipsed the fucking console game it was based on. And you're probably like, oh, really? What is it? Well, you're just going to have to wait and see. And I have to play through it because I don't remember a lot of it. Because it's a fucking, like, epic of a game. But I've got that planned out. Also, future video projects, like, long-term. Excuse me. So the next one is going to be on Afraid of Monsters, I've already decided. And then I have a special long-form video planned afterwards. So, I love this level, by the way, for the ending of it and the entire background. So, if you haven't noticed, we're in a garden. I love this. This is so fucking creative. I can tell what these are. They're radishes. Don't you like radishes? I fucking hate radishes, by the way. They taste awful. If you like radishes, you're just wrong. Over there are beans, which, yeah, those are beans, all right. I think this is the entire game, the only time you ever do this, specifically. And, I don't know, I think you do it one more time. A little bit from now. But, oh fucking hell. This is one of the most annoying parts because you can just get stuck here. Lettuce in the other side too. But other games planned, I really want to do some Half-Life mods maybe. Just some short, simple stuff so I don't have to go super ham in terms of length of away from video editing, because when I start doing the TCM editing, it's all I'm going to be doing. I don't even, so what I did last time with my Begotten review, I don't think it's going to be nearly as intense in terms of editing so far as that, but it's definitely going to take up a lot of my time. I'm going to say I can probably finish all the editing in a month. Obviously, I can't record the script because can you hear the sound of my voice? I can't do this for more than a few minutes. So I have to wait till my voice recovers and then I can actually record the script. But no, I'm really proud of what I've got done so far. I've been also working on the soundtrack to it, which is a lot of fun. I loved what I did for my Silent Hill 2 one. I loved what I did for my Begotten one. I love what I'm working on for the TCM one. It's a lot of fun because I'm not going to spoil it. I really am enjoying some of the work I've made for that so far because it's still in the ballpark of not only is it ambient and audio, it's ambient and noise put together with metal inflection, and it's just fucking awesome. I'm actually really proud of a lot of the stuff I've been doing. I don't know how long it'll take me because I don't want to reuse tracks from my Begotten or my Silent Hill 2 analysis. I have a lot of music I've written for those, but I really want to I want to go ham on this one because I love Toby Hooper, by the way. I didn't even know he died until like a month ago. I knew Gunnar Hansen died. If you don't know who these people are, that's fine. But Toby Hooper was the director of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And he pretty much worked on, I think, all the audio for the movie, like the soundtrack. And some people can go, I don't really get why you find that impressive. And I can't stress to you enough, in 1974, this fucking guy was creating essentially atmospheric, like, weird, dissonant tones and, like, experimenting with, like, audio tech that nobody had done. Maybe John Carpenter, but I can't remember when John Carpenter started doing work. That's the problem. I've never really been a huge John Carpenter fan. I've only seen a handful of his movies, but you know what I mean? Like, if you've ever seen Halloween, I think it's one of the first instances of synth ambience in a film, like specifically designed to be an ambient score. But I haven't really heard most of his music. But however, Toby Hooper's work in the TCM soundtrack as an ambient musician myself, holy fuck, dude, it's like a wet dream. Like, if you don't know how it was created, I'm gonna not spoil it. But it was fucking awesome. Anyways, you can see the other problem with this game. It's pretty fucking monotonous. There's not a lot really has changed. The only difference is now we're relying on grenades and moving around more. You can honestly say that's good, but like I said, it's a Game Boy game. Thank God we're almost to the end of it, because I don't know how much longer my voice can hold out for this. But other games I have planned, we obviously have Fat Drop Fridays. Once my voice is recovered, I'll start pre-recording those. Spoiler alert, I love this. They're torturing him with a fucking magnifying glass. I don't know if you can kill him. I don't want to find out. I'm gonna take a drink of coffee and... If you don't know why that is so interesting to me as an Army Man player, that was a form of torture that, like, Sarge is like, oh my goodness, what are they doing to those men? Like in Sarge's Heroes 1, I think. And then in Sarge's Heroes 2, I think there's also like another callback to it, because it's an old joke. You know, you melt your Army Man toys. But speaking of callbacks, There's plenty of targets out here. It all needs to go. Get stuck in there, my boy. So, we have a special guest appearance in this level, by the way. This is the fucking sandbox, by the way. Yeah, this is a problem with isometric. You can see that I can't arc the grenade over that. It just hits the wall because of the hitbox in that area. So, yeah, I love this. This level used to kick my ass as a kid. It's actually pretty tough. And you'll see why later, too. It's pretty fucking brutal. But I have a lot of stuff planned out. I always say that, and then something stupid shitty happens to me, like I get sick, or or some sort of work accident comes up. You know, that's just life, I hate to say. I'm sorry that I can't do everything at all times. It's unfortunate. But I am very excited to work. Actually, if anything, Leagues burned me out so hard that I got, like, depressed at, like, I missed AFK skilling in RuneScape and shit. It was very awkward. But no, I was really just burned out with Leagues by the end of it. This is how everyone goes. Okay, if you don't know anything about RuneScape, it's a pretty slow, like, progression, intentionally. And, Leagues is like, what, by, like, tier 6, you were, like, was it 8 times XP increase? So, like, I don't even remember how much XP. It was like $2 grand a hit for, like, every combat style by the end of it, which the average is like 100. So, yeah. I was just like, well, I also chose really bad areas. I chose Mauritania, Fremennik, and Karend. I don't do raids. What a mistake that was. Because all of my tasks at the end were fucking bullshit. So this is when everyone was like, okay, cool. We got, like, the honeymoon period of going from, like, 1 to 40 in a skill in 10 minutes is really cool. But then you still take an hour in, like, the, like, 90s to get your stats up. It still takes a while, but the problem was I was hitting walls. Like, I was like, oh, I want to do Dagonoth Kings. And then I realized, fuck, the only way I'm going to get a single battle axe or throne axe is going to be fucking Brutal Black Dragons. Great. And then I had to remember how to do Brutal Black Dragons, and I didn't have any range gear, so I had to stick to Brutal Blues, and instead, you can imagine how this starts to go. It's not even like an Iron Man issue, because I have no problem playing Iron Man, considering I play Proto Iron Man in regular, but fucking A. It's not even like, oh, well, how do you think Region Lock players do it? Region Lock players are fucking cringe and crazy. That's their own decision, not mine. So, I'm sorry. I don't mean that in an offensive way, but no, fucking, no one's that stupid. They go to Ranging Guild and go get the fucking throne axes to make their life easier. They wouldn't be playing the fucking game using just a U short bow for fucking 90 range. Jesus Christ. This is some dark fucking shit right here. Oops, I committed a war crime. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I knew what I was getting myself into. I'm not stupid. Well, I'm pretty stupid. But I swear to God, dude, like, it makes me just remember. There's a reason I don't trust people that do region lock gameplay, because I'm like, you're fucking nuts. Like, if you're dumb to subject yourself to stupid shit like that. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you have only yourself to blame. And I was kicking myself in the fucking teeth every day. Because all I had to do with fucking 90 range was a goddamn U short bow. Didn't matter how many hard tasks I get. I wouldn't get a fucking comp bow. I couldn't get a fucking short bow. Magic tier, sorry. I couldn't be fucking asked to do 80 or 65, whatever fletching. It's 85, sorry. I couldn't be fucking asked to do 85 fletching to get one. I wanted to get this shit done. You see what I mean? Like, it's not the same. Like, you start off thinking, oh, this is really fun. La-di-da, I'm gonna get fucking 99 cooking in like 10 minutes. And it's like, cool. Now try doing boss content, and it becomes a huge fucking pain in the ass. So, kill the Tan Commander. Who do you think that's gonna be? No, it's not J.K. Simmons. I don't even know why I thought J.K. Oh, it's because I watched something with him the other day. You know, this is why I was like, man, you don't want to hear me talk about leagues. You really don't. I got really fucking burned out by the end of it. Like, it was fun. I'm not gonna say it wasn't really fucking funny to melt a Raxer in 46 fucking seconds. God damn, okay? Like, I'm not gonna lie and say that, like, I only did one Echo boss. I did Echo Hesperi. That fucking bullshit AoE attack she did, I was like, oh, okay. That did 86 damage. Holy fuck, that was really cool. I didn't get the fucking blowpipe-like object either. Nature's Reprisal, I think is what it was called. I didn't get that. I read it was supposed to be guaranteed on your first kill. Specifically with that, someone fucking lied. Bunch of shit, man. I couldn't obviously do DKs because I was doing DKs with a fucking Bless D-Hide and, like, U short bow. Eventually I got Searcole, but that's not much better. Right? I got Grimoire to do Ancients, but I had the best magic gear I had was fucking Dark Mystic. So I couldn't fucking do DKs, and I couldn't do anything else. But who do you think's up here? Who could it be? It's a fucking Sasquatch, obviously. It's a Tan Commander. He's a Sasquatch. Yeah. What did you expect? Something a little bit more epic in scope? That didn't get lamed out with the fucking RPG in the corner? What are you, an idiot? This is an Army Man game. This is not how fucking balance works. It's fucking Plastro! He makes a second of an appearance and gets fucking obliterated off screen. Isn't that awesome? I fucking love it. And you fight him on top of a fucking sandcastle. That's fucking just so cool. Anyways, I love that. When I was a kid and I got to that point, I was like, oh my god, I recognize Plastro. He's the bad guy in the other games. I gotta fight him and I gotta make sure I win. So, this is the last level in the game. This is absolutely fucking bullshit hard. But I'm bullshit hard myself. But yeah, dude, I didn't get fucking any of the cool shit in leagues that everyone else was getting. I didn't... What was the other one I could have done? There was one more. Oh, it was Not Dawn and Not Dusk. I couldn't do that. I struggled with fucking gargoyles. Because I didn't have any fucking ranged ammo. Or ranged gear. Bless D-Hide and use Shortbow is fucking agony on gargoyles. Do you want to know why? Because even with busted-ass Leagues gear, it's still fucking miserable. You know what I do in regular RuneScape? I use Addle and fucking melee switch with fucking bludgeon. The moment I got my bludgeon in fucking Leagues, it was a just beautiful moment. And then I swapped it out with a halberd, with the toxic halberd. And I was like, yeah, that's way better. So it was kind of cool, because I don't have a halberd in real RuneScape yet. So I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. One thing I will say, by the way, about Leagues was I attempted to do Konar Slayer now. But I also realized Konar Slayer is not as good as I probably think it is. And the reward is probably not really that exciting. It's just shit that I don't need. You could be like, oh, but the Mystic... It's like, yeah, the Mystics are like 1 in 1,000 each. It's not really worth it. I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to sell it. Or high alch it. But you also might be like, how'd you adjust to going back? It wasn't very hard. The only thing I miss from Leagues, if I'm being honest, it's not even going to be a big surprise. I miss Infinite Run. And clue boxes. God damn, clue boxes, man. Oh, that spoiled me so fucking bad. You know, I don't mind doing clue scrolls in RuneScape at all.
People get so squidgy about the fucking, oh, the hard clues are really hard to do because they make me solve a 4x4 fucking slidey tile puzzle. Listen, smart guy. I know you're smart because you're playing RuneScape, right? You know how you solve those? Corner to corner, corner to corner, corner to corner, bottom 2 rows, up, down, up, down, up, down. Done. Fucking easy peasy lemon squeezy, says the guy that solves 1,000 piece jigsaw puzzles in less than like 3 days. But, you know, that's just my opinion. But no, clue boxes were a huge fucking... I nearly get killed here. I'm amazed I don't die. So, clue boxes were such a fucking treat, dude. I'm amazed I didn't get nuked on my own fucking RPG there. I miss that so much. It's because I don't like doing clues after you've taken a minute of travel and gearing. You kill one enemy, and you get a hard clue scroll. And then you finish the hard clue scroll using your clue gear, and then your clue inventory, and then you finish it after like 5 or 10 minutes. You go back to the task, you gear up, you go all the way back there, you get fucking 1 kill in, clue scroll. And then you do it again, and then you go back, 2 kills in, you get a clue scroll. You see, that's the only reason I'd say clue boxes as like a consumable reward from clue tiers. That would be fucking awesome. I love how these tanks just fucked up. They didn't even bother. They're like, we'll look the other way here. So, but yeah, that's about the only thing I miss, was those 2 things. So this is the final thing in the game. It's apparently a big deal, but I just don't really give a shit. It's absolutely one of the most jam-packed with annoying shit in the entire game. By the way, in case you haven't deduced this yet, tanks are the most aggravatingly difficult thing in all of the Army Man games. It doesn't matter if it's a boss fight or whatever. A tank is equal to 3 boss fights. And you just stand next to these and you're automatically going to plant charges on them. You can take damage in this animation as well. I found that out the hard way. So, I don't know what that reference is over there on that thing. Probably some, like... It's probably some bullshit, like, 3DO in-joke that they joked about on, like, a Tuesday morning. If you play a lot of GBA port games, sometimes you'll actually see some really weird Easter eggs. Like, Mortal Kombat Advance, the coffee maker. That was, like, referenced in the credits for some reason. Yeah, I played that game a lot. It's not good. Will I do it on the channel? Maybe, if you're good enough. But yeah, this is the other final objective, is to do this. Now you got me mad. I don't know if that's something Sarge says in the series as a whole. I don't remember. But you can't make Jim Cummings mad, so doesn't matter. I love this. It's like, it's not even a boss fight. It's not even an enemy rush. It's just touch the walls to finish the game. It's like, okay, I ain't gonna cry. I'm not mad about it. And then we gotta just run away automatically, and then this is the final thing you see in the game. Let's blow this thing and go home. You only see that animation that one time in the game. Hope it was everything it was worth. And look at that, a green helicopter! I bet that was planned for a sequel that would have involved the fucking air attack squad. It doesn't matter. And that's the final thing you see in the game. So what are my final thoughts on this game? I've toned it out completely for the past 20 minutes or so. And this... Congratulations! You get some... I love this picture. He's like, don't touch me. Just... yes. The tan. They subject themselves to war crime and humiliation. All good things.
But yeah, this game's not that good, but I enjoy it because I'm broken and wrong. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.